will not intercede in our affairs, then we must rise up and kill those who kill us. Stop them and kill them and let them feel the pain of death that we are feeling.
And then now we've seen the different radio shows and the new Black Panther Party call for the same thing. But more specifically, time to start killing cops, time to start killing white people, maybe kill all cops, black cops. This is the type of rhetoric, pigs in a blanket, put wings on pigs, fry them like bacon.
King Noble, black supremacy. And I want to talk about the shooting of the white deputy sheriff in Houston, Texas. Reminds me of a Bob Marley song, I Shot the Sheriff. To me, what the Houston, Texas brutal execution before the public represents to me is this open season on killing whites and white police officers and probably killing cops, period. It's open season towards the police department and the police. So now you got some black militant or some angry black man walks up and executes a cracker cop in broad daylight. This is real. It's open season on killing white people and cops. It's unavoidable, inescapable. It's funny that now we'll move into a time where the predator will become the prey. Yes, they said there will be a race war and that we cannot win a race war. We can't win. We're outnumbered. They got weapons, they got drones, they got this, they got that. But I remind you of the buffaloes who outnumber the lions. They're bigger than lions and they move in larger herds, but they're picked off by lions one by one, picking them off. Today, we live in a time where the white man will be picked off, and there's nothing he can do about it. His day is up. His time is up. We will witness more executions and killing of white people and cops than we ever had before. We see with the Houston, Texas shooting, and we see with the news reporting shooting in Virginia. It's about to go down. It's open season on killing white people and crackers. The Black Lives Matter movement wasn't enough. We tried to appeal to them to let them know that this type of thing would come, it would happen. They thought they were indestructible and invincible because they took advantage of the weakness of black people for too long with all this police brutality. And now they've got black men out there that just can't take it anymore. And they're willing to act out. And they're willing to get you when you least expect it. Come at you when you're not thinking about it. It's not safe no more to be white in America. Lurking behind any corner could be an angry black man ready to take your ass out.
Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! All power! All power! All power! All power! Oink oink! Bang bang! Oink oink! Bang bang! Oink oink! Bang bang! Oink oink! Bang bang!
The globalists, the same ones that are putting cancer viruses in the vaccines, the same ones that are putting fluoride in all our water, targeting everybody, they are pushing through George Soros this whole Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, Farrakhan, if you came out and said what really matters is they're aborting 52% or 51% of black people, and here's Margaret Sanger, which I know you've talked about decades ago. If you did that now in context and said the globalists are funding this, Obama is funding this to get us all fighting with each other right as the financial collapse happens, I'd say, man, Louis Farrakhan's a great guy. Instead, you play along with the very rhetoric being put out by the White House, the Ford Foundation, George Soros, all the usual suspects. And that's where I really have a big concern, is that it just fits into that whole narrative, and I don't want to see you being played by that. Also, your supporters calling in mad, saying that I implied you're calling for violence, can't have it both ways, because there is a big call for violence. And it's not going to get the respect to the police. It's not going to get them to stop. It's going to encourage more of an us against them mentality. I know there's bad departments. I know black people get discriminated against. I know there's things like driving while black in many areas. There's also things like being white in a downtown area and being attacked because you're white. I mean, I hear black people so sad for themselves and crying all day and so full of anger because the media always rubs the salt in about how you've been treated. I mean, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, for heaven's sakes. No, I don't want to exaggerate. Probably been in 75 fights with black people. Never started one up. And I never was taught by my parents to whine and say I was racially attacked, even though it was, I'm going to kill your cracker ass for getting off at the bus stop at the wrong place. And then being 14, having to fight some 18-year-old man. But I want to say something to the racist blacks that attack me. You helped make me who I am. I'm one mean son of a bitch now because of it. But I'm not low enough to sit there and hate black people in general because I was racially attacked over and over again by black gangs. Because you know what? I was attacked by redneck gangs, probably only 20-something times, and I was attacked by Hispanic gangs. I mean, I've been in the hospital, had my leg, I have a pin in my leg because of it. I've had concussions. My eyes probably don't point the right direction. I've been beat so hard, but I've fought right back, believe me. And so that which doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. So I forgive the racist black people, and I want to try to save the blacks that are being aborted, just like I want to save the whites and Hispanics, and just like with Gardasil, forcibly inoculating all the Mexican girls and the convulsions they're having and the deaths that are happening. We're all under attack. They play us off against each other. At one level, the racism's real on both sides, on all sides. But above it is a scientific plan that you know about. So you get all excited when I talk about 1776 commencing again. If you try to take our guns and you get all excited, that makes me think you probably really believe what you're doing. You probably are somebody who is a good guy in their heart, who's tired of being pushed around. And I can admire not wanting to be pushed around. And I can admire people that are sick of being stepped on. But black people are strong, black people are smart, black people are emotional just like everybody else. But it's those emotions that are getting manipulated. And I don't want to see black people played like a fiddle. You yourself are a musician, and you know that we're all getting played here, and I'm sick of it. Here's the fact that he's now meeting, the reason I shot this video, with Eminem, saying he should encourage people to have a good message in hip-hop and how they can fight back against the establishment. Well, that's great, but is it really the best message to tell people if they make us die, we make them die? Even if you figuratively, I understand what you're saying, an eye for an eye, it's going to be used now by operatives and others who are going to stir people up. And then meanwhile, when somebody puts it out, kill white people, they end up getting put in prison. They get their lives ruined, and then nobody's there to save them. Okay? I mean, look at this guy. Look at this black guy that was calling for people to be killed. I wonder if he's had white people attack him 75 times. Maybe he's had cops. Maybe attack him 10 times. I don't know. But I mean, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, in just the most insane situation where everybody got in fights and where the minorities were the majority, and they were constantly attacking white people and they had a chance. So I'm just, you know what? I don't have a chip on my shoulder. You know what? I want you to live, I want you to thrive, but I want you to be honest, and I want you to understand that slavery, racism, tribalism has always gone on. And I want to invite Louis Farrakhan on the show. After he talked about us a few times years ago, we invited him on. They said the minister's aware of the show. He'll keep it in consideration. Okay, whatever. I would like Louis Farrakhan to come on and do a polite interview. I had David Duke on. It was polite, but then he said he was being censored and all the rest of this, not getting enough time when he got more time than I did. I agree with a lot more with Louis Farrakhan than I do with David Duke, and I'd like to have Louis Farrakhan on the broadcast or one of his representatives, or even have a debate with Louis Farrakhan. I know Farrakhan puts himself up there and is very controlled how he does things, whatever. The point is that I want a real dialogue. I want to go after real racism. I want to bring humanity together. I know it's great to have racial politics and people like it, Farrakhan, and I don't begrudge you doing that. People under attack stick together. It's just be honest, you know what you're doing, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what your end game is. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com. Back to the live transmission with Anthony Gucciardi.
And I saw Mr. Alex Jones on television recently with Piers Morgan of CNN. And he said, before we allow you to take our guns from us, 1776 will play out again. We intend to return America, not to a democracy. You're lying to the American people. You're robbing them of democracy. This is not a democracy. This is an oligarchy that is leading America into fascism. Yes, you're stripping the American people of their rights in the name of fighting terror. You are the terrorist.
And there's Alex's powerful message to Louis Farrakhan and some Louis Farrakhan quotes as well. And actually, Alex is so fired up about this, he called in, and he's going to give a live take right now via phone line on this message. Alex, you there?
Thank you, Anthony. I was just listening to it and realized when I shot that at about 9 o'clock this morning, taking care of a major story we're working on in some business, launching the TV network, I realized that I didn't add the most important point to why I wanted to have my message to Farrakhan. So now I'm going to say that message right now, and then I guess Rob Duke can cut it in there as an addendum to the end, and it starts right now. Finally, via phone, I just want to add an addendum to this message to Farrakhan, because it's a point I forgot to make in the video, and it's this. I watched his entire 30-minute long speech after Muammar Gaddafi was murdered 4.5 years ago, outside of Tripoli and tortured to death. And I could see the reason Farrakhan's popular is that he does come across as genuine. You could tell he was really upset. He was friends with Gaddafi. And I've studied Gaddafi. People had dartboards of him back in the 80s and loved to hate him. Turned out that was a false flag. He didn't bomb the Lockerbie, Scotland plane. I'm not saying that he was an angel, but compared to Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and others, he was a reformer the last 8 years. Before he was taken out, he invested his money in the West, gave up his WMDs, worked with the West, apologized for things they hadn't even done. He was giving almost all of Libya's money to Africa to build Africa up. I know Farrakhan had gone there many times and was really supporting it. So I thought that was something good Farrakhan was doing. And now we see the globalists, Hillary Clinton and others go in, Obama, set Gaddafi up, take him out. And I saw him really get upset and basically say that Obama was evil and a piece of garbage and a tyrant. I mean, we could pull it up. It's worse than what I said. The actual quote, just pull up, Farrakhan on Gaddafi and Obama, on the death of Gaddafi. And so that's the point I'm getting at. The very people running Obama, very people that staged the Gaddafi takeover, and the ones that are taking down Syria right now and killing all the Christians and non-radical Muslims and others, they're the very people trying to push this race war. Of course there's reasons to be upset. Of course there's a lot of police brutality and surely racist cops that target black people. But there's a lot of racist black people targeting white people, and it's all part of this stupid war they've stirred up to manipulate us. So again, just remember what happened with Gaddafi. Remember what happened to somebody trying to build up Africa and trying to help people and actually building roads and aquifers, everything else. That's been destroyed. Libya is now a failed state. So that's what this comes down to. Louis Farrakhan should not be involved promoting a project of race war that the globalists are pushing. I get the right to self-defense. But if you said specifically go after the people that did X, Y, and Z by name, that'd be another issue. But when you say just in general, and then a month after you push it, it's being parroted everywhere to go after white people, period, it's very clear what's going on. And you're smart enough, I think, to understand, unless you've got brain cancer or something, and I don't mean that sarcastically, unless you've got a brain tumor, that this is going to start a war that you're not going to get out of, and people like me aren't going to get out of, and it's going to be bad for humanity, period. So start talking about black abortion, start talking about GMOs, start talking about vaccines, get back to what really helps people, and not jumping on the bandwagon, encouraging your followers who respect you and believe in you to go out and be part of this. I mean, I know George Soros is evil, and I don't want to think you're evil. I could sit here and earn brownie points with a conservative audience just attacking you all day, but I'm actually trying to get something done and reaching out to people. So we'll see what happens. But we need to de-escalate the situation right now. It's not because I'm afraid of a quote race war because the white people are going to lose it. No, I'm afraid we're going to have a race war that humanity loses and the globalists win. Back to Anthony Gucciardi in the live radio transmission.
Well, thank you, Alex, for calling in. And I think the key point there is that you're not just going to attack him for what he said, what he apparently intended on saying. Instead, you're saying let's all come together as one human race, as humanity. And instead of further fueling his attacks and saying go out and kill people, you're saying, hey, let's not even go against that with attacking that guy. Let's say let's fix this once and for all, because ultimately a race war is the opposite, I believe, of what everyone would want. You'd have to be, as he said, mentally insane or have a brain tumor to think that calling for the death of anyone, cops, whites, blacks, you name it, anyone like that in a large group from any type of leader is obviously going to incite violence, and we've already seen violence. We've already seen, as we mentioned earlier, tweets from people saying, kill all whites need to be exterminated, let's launch the purge, let's clean the town out from whites. You've heard the YouTube clip of that one individual, Major, whatever his name is, where he says, we need